The wounded stranger. The storm that changed everything. The mountain storm came without warning, turning the peaceful evening into chaos. Luna stood at her window watching dark clouds roll across the sky like angry spirits. Thunder shook her small cottage, making the wooden beams creak and groan. She had lived alone in these mountains for 3 years, and she knew the patterns of weather here. But this storm felt different. It felt like fate arriving at her doorstep. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the forest in harsh white light. In that brief moment, Luna saw something dark lying on the path leading to her cottage. At first she thought it might be a fallen tree branch. But then the lightning flashed again and she saw it move. Someone was out there. Luna grabbed her heavy cloak and the medical bag she always kept ready. As a healer, she had learned never to ignore someone in need, no matter how dangerous it might be. She pushed open her door, and the wind nearly tore it from her hands. Rain pelted her face as she ran down the muddy path. The man lay face down in the mud, his clothes torn and soaked with blood and rainwater. Luna dropped to her knees beside him, checking for a pulse. It was there, weak but steady. She tried to turn him over, but he was too heavy. She would need to wake him. "Can you hear me?" she shouted over the storm. "You need to help me get you inside." The man groaned but didn't open his eyes. Luna looked around desperately. If she left him here to get help, he would die from the cold. She had no choice but to try again. With strength she didn't know she possessed, Luna managed to roll him onto his back. His face was covered in mud and blood, but she could see he was young, perhaps 30 years old. A deep cut ran across his forehead, and his breathing was shallow. "Please," she begged, shaking his shoulders. "Wake up. Just for a moment. Help me save you. ## a stranger in the night." His eyes opened slowly, revealing gray eyes that seemed to look right through her. For a moment they stared at each other in the rain. Then confusion crossed his face. "Where?" he began, his voice barely audible. "You're hurt. My cottage is just up this path. Can you walk if I help you?" He nodded weakly. Together they struggled to their feet. Luna put his arm around her shoulders, taking as much of his weight as she could. Step by painful step, they made their way up the path. The man stumbled several times, and Luna thought they would both fall. But somehow they reached her door. Inside, Luna helped him to the bed near the fireplace. He collapsed onto it, unconscious again. She quickly built up the fire, then turned her attention to her patient. His clothes were expensive, she noticed, or had been before they were ruined. Fine wool and silk, now torn and stained. This was no ordinary traveler. Luna worked quickly, cutting away his wet clothes and examining his injuries. Besides the head wound, he had bruises covering his ribs, cuts on his arms, and what looked like burn marks on his hands. Most concerning was a strange wound on his side that looked like it had been made by a blade. Someone had tried to kill this man. As she cleaned and bandaged his wounds, Luna studied his face. Even covered in bruises, she could tell he was handsome. Strong jaw, high cheekbones, and those unusual gray eyes. But there was something else. Something in his face, even in unconsciousness, that spoke of pain that went deeper than physical wounds. Hours passed as Luna worked. The storm continued to rage outside, but inside her cottage the fire burned warm and bright. Finally, when the last bandage was in place, Luna allowed herself to sit down. She was exhausted, but she couldn't sleep. Not until she knew if the stranger would survive the night. ## mysteries in the morning. Dawn came slowly, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. The storm had passed, leaving everything clean and fresh. Luna had dozed in her chair by the fire, but she woke the moment she heard movement from the bed. The stranger's eyes were open, staring at the ceiling with a confused expression. When he noticed Luna watching him, he tried to sit up but gasped in pain. "Don't move too quickly," Luna said, rising to help him. "You're badly hurt." "Where am I?" His voice was rough, probably from exposure to the cold and rain. "My cottage in the mountains. I found you on the path last night during the storm. Do you remember what happened to you?" The stranger closed his eyes, his face tightening with concentration. I was. He opened his eyes again, and Luna saw fear in them. "I don't remember. I don't remember anything. Nothing? Not even your name." He shook his head slowly, and Luna could see the panic rising in him. I can't. Why can't I remember? Who am I? Luna had seen head injuries before that caused memory loss. Usually the memories returned in time. But the fear in this man's eyes made her heart ache. To wake up not knowing who you are, where you're from, or what happened to you must be terrifying. It's all right, she said gently, placing a calming hand on his shoulder. Memory loss can happen with head injuries. It might come back on its own. For now you need to rest and heal. But what if someone is looking for me? What if I'm supposed to be somewhere? If someone is looking for you, they'll find you. These mountains aren't that large. But right now you need to focus on getting better. The stranger relaxed slightly, though worry still clouded his eyes. You saved my life. I don't even know your name. I'm Luna. I'm a healer. I live alone here, growing herbs and helping travelers when they need medicine. Luna, he repeated as if testing the name. Thank you, Luna. I wish I could tell you my name in return. Luna smiled. We need to call you something. Let me think. She looked out the window at the forest. Near her cottage stood an old ash tree, its branches reaching toward the sky. She had found many healing herbs beneath that tree. How about ash? Until your memory returns. The stranger considered this, then nodded. Ash. That's fine. Better than the stranger anyway. ## secrets beneath the surface. Over the next few days, Luna cared for Ash as his body slowly healed. The bruises faded from purple to yellow-green. The cuts closed and began to scar. But his memory remained locked away, accessible only in brief, frightening flashes that left him sweating and afraid. Luna learned that Ash was educated. He could read her medical books and understood complex concepts. He knew how to perform mathematics and had knowledge of geography and history. But when it came to personal memories, where he came from, who he knew, what his life had been, there was only darkness. It's like looking into a deep well, Ash explained one evening as they sat by the fire. I can see shadows moving down there, but I can't make out what they are. And sometimes when I try to look closer, the shadows become monsters. What kind of monsters? Luna asked. Ash was quiet for a long moment. Betrayal. Pain. Anger. I dream of fire and blood. I dream of screaming and running. Something terrible happened to me, Luna. Something more than just getting lost in a storm. Luna had suspected as much. The wound on his side had been made by a blade, and the burn marks on his hands looked deliberate. Someone had hurt Ash badly and left him to die. The question was who and why. As Ash grew stronger, he began to help Luna with daily tasks. She discovered he was skilled with his hands, able to repair things around the cottage that she had ignored for months. He chopped wood with ease, fixed the leaking roof, and even helped her in the garden, though he couldn't explain how he knew which plants needed what care. It's like my body remembers even when my mind doesn't, Ash said one afternoon as they harvested herbs together. My hands know how to do things, but I don't know why I learned them. Luna found herself enjoying his company more than she expected. For 3 years she had been alone by choice. After what happened in her past, she had convinced herself that solitude was safer than trusting people. But Ash was different. Perhaps because he had no memory, he had no agenda. He was simply himself, genuine and kind in a way that made Luna's guarded heart begin to soften. ## the marked man. One evening, as Luna was changing the bandage on Ash's side wound, she noticed something she had missed before. Just below his left shoulder blade was a mark, like a brand burned into his skin. It was old, well healed, but the design was clear. A circle with a sword through it, surrounded by flames. Ash, Luna said carefully, have you seen this mark on your shoulder? Ash twisted to try to see it but couldn't quite manage. What mark? Luna brought her small mirror and held it so he could see. The moment Ash saw the brand, his face went white. His breathing became rapid and shallow. I know this mark, he whispered. It's important. It means. But whatever it meant was lost as Ash's eyes rolled back and he collapsed. Luna caught him before he hit the floor, her heart racing. The mark had triggered something in his broken memory. Something so powerful it had overwhelmed him. She got him back to bed and checked his pulse. It was racing but strong. Whatever had happened, it wasn't a medical emergency. His mind had simply shut down to protect itself from a memory too painful to face. Luna stared at the mark on Ash's shoulder. A circle, a sword, flames. It looked like a family crest or perhaps the symbol of some organization. Whatever it represented, it was connected to what had happened to Ash. And Luna had a feeling that when his memories finally returned, the truth would be dangerous. That night, Luna sat by Ash's bed, watching him sleep fitfully. She found herself wondering about this man who had stumbled into her life. Who was he really? What had he done to earn that brand? And who had hurt him so badly? Part of her wanted his memory to stay lost forever. As long as he remained Ash, the stranger with no past, he could stay here with her. They could continue their simple life of healing herbs and fixed roofs and quiet evenings by the fire. But Luna knew that was selfish. Ash deserved to know who he was, even if that knowledge brought pain. ## dangerous questions. A week after Luna discovered the brand, 3 men arrived at her cottage. They wore the clothes of city merchants, expensive but practical for travel. The leader was a tall man with cold blue eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. "Good morning," he said when Luna opened the door. "We're looking for someone." A man, tall, dark hair, gray eyes. "He would be injured. Have you seen anyone matching that description?" Luna's heart pounded, but she kept her face calm. Ash was in the back room, hopefully still asleep. "No, I'm sorry. I haven't seen anyone like that. These mountains are quiet this time of year." The man's smile widened, but it looked more like a predator baring its teeth. "That's strange. We tracked him to this area. His blood trail led right up this mountain. Perhaps he went around my cottage. The paths can be confusing." "Perhaps." The man gestured to his companions. "Do you mind if we look around? Just to be sure." It wasn't really a question. Luna stood aside as the 3 men entered her cottage. They searched methodically, looking in every corner, every cupboard, even checking under the bed in the main room. Luna prayed that Ash would stay quiet in the back room, and that these men wouldn't think to check there. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the men finished their search. The leader turned to Luna with that terrible smile again. "If you do see this man, you should know that he's dangerous. He's a criminal wanted for theft and murder. If he comes here, don't help him. Contact the authorities immediately." "I will," Luna lied smoothly. "Thank you for the warning." After the men left, Luna waited a full hour before going to check on Ash. She found him standing by the window of the back room, his face pale. "I heard everything," he said quietly. "They're looking for me. They said I'm a criminal." "You don't believe that, do you?" Luna asked. Ash turned to face her, and she saw confusion and fear warring in his gray eyes. "I don't know what to believe. What if they're right? What if I'm a bad person, and my mind is protecting me from knowing what I've done?" Luna walked to him and took his hands in hers. "I'm a good judge of character, Ash. I've seen truly bad people. You're not one of them. Whatever happened to you, whatever those men want with you, I don't believe you're a criminal." "How can you be so sure?" "Because criminals don't feel guilty. They don't worry about whether they're good people. And they certainly don't help a lonely healer fix her roof and harvest her herbs without being asked." Luna squeezed his hands. "You're a good man, Ash. I feel it in my heart." For a long moment they stood together in the quiet back room, hands clasped. Then Ash pulled Luna into an embrace. She could feel his heart beating fast against her chest, could sense his fear and gratitude and something else, something warm that made her own heart race. "Thank you," he whispered into her hair. "For saving me, for believing in me, for giving me a reason to want to remember who I am instead of being afraid of it." Luna pulled back slightly to look up at his face. In that moment, she realized that her feelings for Ash had grown beyond simple compassion. She cared for him deeply, perhaps even loved him, though that thought terrified her. She had sworn never to let her heart be vulnerable again after what had happened 3 years ago. But here she was, falling for a man who didn't even know his own name. "We'll figure this out together," Luna promised. "Whatever the truth is, we'll face it together." ## fragments of the past. That night, Ash had the nightmare again. Luna heard him crying out in his sleep and rushed to his bedside. His face was twisted in anguish and sweat soaked his hair. "No," he shouted. "I trusted you. How could you? Celine, please." Luna shook him awake. Ash's eyes flew open, wild and frightened. It took him a moment to recognize where he was. The dream, he gasped. It was clearer this time. There was a woman. Celine. Long dark hair, green eyes. Beautiful. He gripped Luna's hand tightly. I loved her. And she betrayed me. What else do you remember? Ash closed his eyes, trying to hold on to the fragments of memory before they slipped away. Fire. There was fire everywhere. And poison. Someone poisoned me. I could feel it burning through my veins. I tried to run, but I fell. And then darkness. Who poisoned you? Was it Celine? I don't know. I can't see faces clearly, just shapes and colors. But I remember the pain. And the betrayal hurt worse than the poison. Ash opened his eyes and Luna saw tears on his cheeks. Someone I loved tried to kill me, Luna. Someone I trusted completely. Luna wiped the tears from his face gently. Your memory is coming back. That's good, even if it's painful. Is it good? Maybe I was better off not knowing. No, Luna said firmly. Not knowing means living in fear of shadows. Remembering means you can face what happened and move forward. You can find justice or at least understanding. Ash pulled Luna closer, resting his forehead against hers. What if I find out I deserved what happened to me? Then we'll deal with that too. But Ash, I've spent weeks with you now. I've seen who you are when you have no memory of what you're supposed to be. And that person is kind, generous, thoughtful, and good. Whatever your past holds, I believe in who you are now. They stayed like that for a long time, finding comfort in each other's presence. Outside, the mountain night was dark and cold. But inside Luna's cottage, wrapped in firelight and growing love, both Ash and Luna began to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could face whatever truth was waiting to be discovered. The memories would return eventually. The past would demand its due. But for now, in this moment, they had each other. And sometimes that was enough to keep the darkness at bay. 2 weeks after the searching men left, another visitor came to Luna's cottage. This time it was a single man riding a fine black horse. He was richly dressed in a deep blue coat with silver buttons, and his bearing spoke of wealth and authority. When Luna answered his knock, the man smiled warmly. Good morning, he said with practiced charm. I apologize for disturbing you. My name is Damon Blackwood. I'm looking for my brother who went missing several weeks ago. He would be about this tall, dark hair, gray eyes. I've been searching everywhere for him. Luna's blood ran cold. This man looked nothing like Ash. His hair was lighter, his eyes blue instead of gray. But there was something in the shape of his face, the line of his jaw, that held a resemblance. Before Luna could answer, she heard footsteps behind her. Ash had come to see who was at the door. The moment he saw the man calling himself Damon, Ash froze. His face went white, then red with rage. You, Ash said, his voice shaking with emotion. I remember you. Damon's smile faltered for just a moment before returning even brighter. Adrian. Thank the gods. I've been searching for you everywhere. What happened? Where have you been? Adrian. So that was Ash's real name. Luna watched as Adrian's hands clenched into fists. The look on his face was not one of joy at being reunited with family. It was pure hatred. Get off this property, Adrian said quietly, before I kill you where you stand. Damon held up his hands in a gesture of peace, though Luna noticed he took a careful step backward. Brother, I understand you're confused. You've obviously been through something terrible. But I'm here to help you. To bring you home. Home. Adrian laughed, but there was no humor in it. You mean the home you tried to burn down with me inside it? After you and Celine poisoned me. Luna gasped. So Adrian had remembered. The nightmares had been real memories. Damon's expression shifted, the friendly mask slipping to reveal something cold beneath. I see. Your memory has returned. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate for you, Adrian said. He moved forward, placing himself between Luna and Damon. What are you doing here, brother? Come to finish what you started. I came because rumors reached me that a man matching your description was seen in these mountains. I had to know if you were truly alive, or just a ghost haunting my conscience. Damon's smile was cruel now. I should have known you were too stubborn to die properly. Why? Adrian asked, and Luna heard the pain beneath his anger. I gave you everything. When father died, I made you my partner in the business. I trusted you with every secret, every plan. You were my brother. Exactly, Damon said. Your brother. Your subordinate. Your second choice for everything. Do you know what it's like living in someone else's shadow your entire life? Father loved you more. The business partners respected you more. Even Celine. He paused, his expression twisting with bitterness. Even Celine only agreed to marry me after we thought you were dead. Luna put the pieces together quickly. Adrien had been a wealthy merchant with a successful business. His own brother had conspired with Adrien's love to kill him and take everything he had built. So it was about jealousy, Adrien said quietly. All of this, the poison, the fire, leaving me to die in the mountains. Because you were jealous? Don't make it sound so petty, Damon snapped. It was about what I deserved. What should have been mine by right. Father never saw my worth because you were always there. Perfect Adrien, successful Adrien, beloved Adrien. He spat the name like a curse. Hashtag the full betrayal revealed. Adrien swayed slightly, and Luna quickly moved to support him. His injuries had healed, but the emotional shock of having his memories return so suddenly was clearly overwhelming. Tell me everything, Adrien demanded. I deserve to know how my own brother planned my murder. Damon seemed to consider refusing, but then he shrugged. Why not? You're going to die anyway. At least this time I'll make sure of it properly. Luna felt fear spike through her. She glanced around looking for anything she could use as a weapon. Her cottage held herbs and medicines, but nothing that could stop a man intent on violence. It started 2 years ago, Damon began, leaning against the doorframe with false casualness. Celine came to me with a problem. She was engaged to you, about to become your wife, but she had gambling debts. Terrible debts to terrible people. She needed money, a lot of it, quickly. Adrien's face twisted with pain. She never told me. I would have helped her. She knew that. But she also knew you would have been disappointed in her. You always were so perfect, so moral. You would have paid her debts and then watched her forever after, making sure she never gambled again. Celine didn't want to be saved. She wanted to be free. So she chose you, Adrien said bitterly. We chose each other, Damon corrected. I told her I could solve her money problems permanently. All she had to do was help me gain control of the Blackwood Trading Company. With you out of the way, I would inherit everything. We could pay her debts, get married, and live the life we both deserved. Luna listened in horror as Damon described how they had planned Adrien's death with casual precision. The poison had been slipped into his evening wine over several weeks. Small doses that made him feel ill, but not enough to kill him quickly. They wanted it to look like natural illness. But you were always so strong, Damon said with grudging admiration. The poison that should have killed you in days took weeks to bring you low. So we had to get more creative. The fire, Adrien whispered. You set fire to the east wing of the mansion. My rooms. Celine did that, actually. She was the one with you when the fire started. She got out and screamed for help, playing the terrified fiancé so perfectly. Everyone was so worried about comforting her that no one noticed she wasn't actually trying very hard to save you. Adrien's legs gave out, and he sank to his knees. Luna knelt beside him, putting her arm around his shoulders. She could feel him trembling with rage and grief. But I survived the fire, Adrien said. I got out somehow. Yes, and that's when things got messy. You were half dead from smoke and poison, stumbling through the streets. We couldn't let anyone see you like that and ask questions. So we had to be more direct. Damon pulled aside his coat to reveal a knife at his belt. The same type of blade that had made the wound on Adrien's side. I caught up to you on the edge of town. You were so weak you could barely stand. When I stabbed you and left you in the ditch, I truly thought that was the end. But somehow I survived, Adrien said. Somehow I crawled away, made it to the mountains, and Luna found me. Yes, the healer. Damon looked at Luna with cold assessment. I should thank you for keeping my brother alive long enough for me to finish this properly. It's been difficult, you see, trying to run the business without Adrien's death being confirmed. Some of the partners have been asking uncomfortable questions. But once I bring back proof that he died of his injuries in these remote mountains, far from any civilization, all those questions will stop. Luna stood up, putting herself between Damon and Adrien. You'll have to go through me first. Damon laughed. A little healer woman against me? Please. I've killed before. I'll kill again. And no one will ever know what happened here. But Adrian was standing too. His face no longer showing pain but cold determination. You made one mistake, Damon. You assumed I was the same man you tried to kill. That Adrian was weak, trusting, and naive. But that man died in the fire. The man standing here now has nothing left to lose. ## Luna's secret past. Before Damon could respond, Luna spoke up. You're not the only one with secrets, Adrian. She looked at Damon with surprising calm. You said I was just a little healer woman. You're wrong about that. Just like you were wrong about your brother. Adrian looked at Luna in confusion. What do you mean? Luna took a deep breath. She had kept her past buried for 3 years, never speaking of it to anyone. But if they were going to survive this moment, if they were going to stop Damon, Adrian deserved to know the truth about her too. My name is Luna Hartwell, she said. 3 years ago, I was the most sought-after medical researcher in the capital. I developed new techniques for treating poison victims, for healing burns, for saving people everyone else had given up on. Damon's confident expression faltered slightly. Hartwell? I've heard that name. You should have. My research was famous. I was engaged to a nobleman named Lord Garrett Ashford. I thought he loved me, but really he just wanted access to my knowledge. He stole my research notes, claimed my discoveries as his own, and when I tried to expose him, he destroyed my reputation. Adrian reached out to take her hand. Luna, I'm so sorry. He told everyone I was unstable, that I had fabricated my results, that I was jealous of his success. The medical community believed him because he was a lord and I was just a woman who got too ambitious. I lost everything. My position, my credibility, my future. Luna's voice hardened. So I came here to these mountains where no one knew my name. I became just a simple healer, growing herbs and helping travelers. Why are you telling me this? Damon asked, but Luna could hear uncertainty in his voice now. Because I want you to understand something. You think you can kill us and walk away. You think no one will care about a disgraced merchant and a forgotten healer dying in the mountains. But you're wrong. Luna smiled, and it was not a kind smile. I've spent 3 years learning everything about poisons, Damon. Every toxin, every antidote, every symptom. I knew the moment I examined Adrian that he had been poisoned with nightshade and arsenic. A combination that takes weeks to kill and looks like natural illness. Damon's hand moved toward his knife. So what? So I kept samples of Adrian's blood and hair from when he first arrived. Samples that still contain traces of those poisons. I've documented everything. His injuries, his symptoms, his recovery. And I've already sent copies of those documents to 3 different people, with instructions to deliver them to the authorities if anything happens to me. It was a lie, but a convincing one. Luna could see doubt creeping into Damon's expression. You're bluffing, he said, but he didn't sound sure. Am I? Are you willing to bet your freedom on it? Because if you kill us now, those documents will reach the capital within a week. And there are still plenty of people who remember my reputation for thorough research. They'll believe my findings even if they don't believe me personally. Adrian squeezed Luna's hand, understanding what she was doing. And I'm not without resources either, brother. You might have stolen the company, but you don't have access to all of it. I kept certain assets separate, hidden accounts that only I know about. Money and connections that you can't touch. If we disappear, Luna continued, those assets will be used to hire investigators. They'll tear apart every aspect of your life and Celine's. They'll find the poison suppliers, the witnesses, the paper trail. You might have gotten away with attempted murder once, but you won't escape justice a second time. Damon stood frozen, clearly trying to decide if they were telling the truth, or if this was desperate improvisation. His hand remained on his knife, but he didn't draw it. What do you want? He finally asked. I want my life back, Adrian said. My company, my reputation, my future. But I'm not the fool I was before. I know I can't just go back and reclaim everything. You've had 2 months to establish yourself as the head of Blackwood Trading. Fighting you directly would tear apart everything my father built. Then what? Damon demanded. Adrian glanced at Luna, and something passed between them. An understanding, a plan forming without words. I want justice, Adrian said. Not revenge, but justice. You and Celine need to face consequences for what you've done. But I also want to build something new. Something better than what existed before. ## the dangerous plan. Over the next hour, as an uneasy truce held in Luna's cottage, Adrian and Luna laid out their proposal. Damon would return to the city and continue running Blackwood trading. But he would do so under Adrian's supervision. Adrian would return not as the wronged heir seeking revenge, but as a silent partner, carefully gathering evidence of Damon and Celine's crimes. Why would I agree to this? Damon asked suspiciously. Why wouldn't I just take my chances and disappear? Because running won't save you, Luna said. The poison I treated Adrian for has a unique chemical signature. Any competent physician could detect it in tissue samples. If you run, you prove your guilt. If you stay and cooperate, you have a chance to negotiate a better outcome. What kind of outcome? Prison instead of execution, Adrian said bluntly. If you confess and help us expose everyone else involved, the poison suppliers, the accomplices, anyone who helped you, then we'll argue for mercy. You'll lose everything, but you'll keep your life. Damon laughed bitterly. You want me to betray my wife and spend years in prison? That's your offer. The alternative is death, Adrian said coldly. Either from execution when we expose you, or from me personally if you try to run. I've lost my ability to forgive, brother. But I haven't lost my sense of justice. This is the only offer you'll get. Luna watched the emotions war across Damon's face. Pride, fear, anger, and finally calculation. He was a survivor, she realized. He might be cruel and selfish, but he wasn't stupid. He could see the trap closing around him and was trying to find the best way out. I need time to think, Damon said finally. You have 1 week, Adrian replied. Return here in 7 days with your answer. If you don't come back, if you try to run, or if anything happens to Luna, then the documents she mentioned will be delivered immediately. Do you understand? Damon nodded slowly. 1 week. He moved toward the door, then paused. Adrian, for what it's worth, I am sorry. I never wanted it to come to this. Yes, you did, Adrian said quietly. You wanted it from the moment you decided my death was worth more than my life. Now get out. After Damon left, Luna and Adrian stood in silence for a long moment. Then Adrian sank into a chair, all the strength seeming to drain out of him at once. I remember everything now, he said quietly. Every betrayal, every lie, every moment of pain. And the worst part is remembering how much I loved them both. Damon was my brother, my best friend. Celine was going to be my wife. I would have died for them, and they tried to kill me instead. Luna knelt beside his chair, taking his hands in hers. I know that kind of pain. When Garrett destroyed my reputation, I felt like my whole world had ended. Everything I believed about trust and love and loyalty turned out to be a lie. How did you survive it? Adrian asked. How did you keep going? By understanding that their betrayal said more about them than it did about me. Garrett didn't steal my research because I wasn't good enough. He stole it because he knew how valuable it was, and he wasn't capable of creating anything that valuable himself. His weakness wasn't my fault. Adrian looked at her with something like wonder. You're remarkable, you know that? Here I am, feeling sorry for myself, and you've been through the same kind of betrayal and came out stronger. Not stronger, Luna corrected gently. Just determined not to let them win by destroying who I am. And neither will you. We're going to expose Damon and Celine, reclaim what they stole, and build something better than what existed before. We? Adrian asked softly. Luna smiled. We. If you'll have me as your partner in this. I know it's dangerous. I know we could both end up hurt or worse. But I meant what I said earlier. We face this together. Adrian pulled her close, holding her like she was the only solid thing in a world that had turned to quicksand. I don't deserve you, he whispered. You do, Luna insisted. You deserve someone who sees your worth, who believes in your goodness, who will stand beside you no matter what comes. And I'm that someone, Adrian Blackwood. Whether you like it or not. For the first time since his memories had returned, Adrian laughed. It was a small sound, tentative and fragile, but it was genuine. I like it, he said. I like it very much.